My parents attempted to deceive my terminally ill stepmother, resulting in chaos that impacted all of us. At the tender age of 17, I find myself compelled to express my profound admiration for my stepmother, Jane. Her entrance into my life occurred at a pivotal age of 4, precipitating a transformation in the dynamics of my familial landscape. Prior to her arrival, my relationship with my father languished in the shadow of acrimony as my mother shouldered the mantle of primary caregiver amidst a tempest of discord. Jane's emergence heralded a newfound equilibrium, fostering a stable co-parenting environment that became the bedrock of my upbringing. In the tumultuous aftermath of my parents' separation, Jane epitomized resilience, laboring tirelessly to orchestrate reconciliation while cultivating an atmosphere of mutual respect and support. Jane's indomitable spirit was evident from the outset. At a juncture when my father languished in transient accommodations, she extended a guiding hand, propelling him towards self-sufficiency. Despite the animosity that once marred her relationship with my mother, Jane exhibited magnanimity, orchestrating a visitation schedule and facilitating financial stability even in the absence of formal legal recourse. Her benevolence knew no bounds, as she lavished upon me a love as boundless as that which she bestowed upon my half-brothers, born subsequent to our union. As I traversed the labyrinthine corridors of adolescence, Jane's unwavering devotion remained an immutable anchor, her altruism epitomized by a monumental act of generosity. In the wake of a triumphant legal battle against an airline conglomerate, she elected to channel her windfall towards securing our collective future, endowing me and my siblings with substantial trust funds. Despite newfound affluence, she eschewed opulence, opting instead for a life of modesty anchored by familial ties. However, the dawn of an insidious malaise cast a pall over our idyllic existence, as Jane's health deteriorated precipitously, shrouded in a veil of secrecy that belied the gravity of her condition. Simultaneously, a disquieting metamorphosis engulfed my mother, whose erstwhile aversion towards my father dissolved into a facade of affection, replete with a disconcerting display of domesticity. Her insincerity was palpable, a veneer shattered by the specter of infidelity that loomed ominously over our fractured family unit. Despite my valiant efforts to shield my brothers from the tempest that raged within our midst, the inexorable march of truth laid bare the perfidy that festered beneath the surface. In a moment of reckoning, I confronted Jane with the truth, unburdening myself of the weight of deceit that threatened to rend our familial fabric asunder. Through tear-stained confessions, we grappled with the devastating revelation of her terminal prognosis, an unyielding testament to the fragility of life's tapestry. Yet in the crucible of adversity, Jane exhibited a fortitude that transcended mortal bounds, effecting a radical amendment to her testamentary disposition to safeguard our inheritance from the machinations of betrayal. The ensuing confrontation precipitated the collapse of our domestic edifice, as revelations of duplicity reverberated amidst the shattered remnants of familial trust. My mother's mask of duplicity dissolved into a maelstrom of recrimination, laying bare the depths of her avarice. Bereft of illusions, I resolved to sever ties with those who had betrayed Jane's legacy, embracing the mantle of familial responsibility with an unwavering resolve. As I stand poised on the precipice of adulthood, I find solace in the enduring legacy of Jane's love, a beacon of light amidst the encroaching shadows of despair. Though the specter of her imminent departure looms large, I draw strength from the knowledge that her memory shall endure, a testament to the transformative power of unconditional love. My brothers, my strategy entails utilizing a portion of the estate funds to pursue guardianship for my twin brothers, enabling them to reside in the family home while I compel my father to vacate the premises. Should I fail to obtain guardianship, my father would remain in the house. Nevertheless, upon reaching the age of 18, I will attain legal adulthood, rendering me capable of assuming responsibility for my brothers. The only limitation would be my inability to prevent my father from taking them should he depart. However, considering they will reach 18 in 6 years, even if they must leave temporarily, they can always return at their discretion. Ideally, my father would willingly depart, allowing my brothers to remain under my care, a scenario I believe my biological mother would endorse. given her current animosity towards all of us, which seems unlikely to dissipate anytime soon. The trust. Based on my understanding, my brothers will each inherit 1/3 of the estate, while the remaining 1/3 will be allocated to maintain the house until they reach 18. Afterward, it will be my decision whether to retain or sell the house. At that point, my brothers will still have funds in the trust to pursue their endeavors independently. If I choose not to sell, I can either pass the house to them or maintain it myself, allowing them to reside with me as needed. Additionally, Jane clarified that she dissolved the original trust plan, where my dad was to inherit the house, dividing it equally among us siblings. She redirected my share to cover house maintenance and transferred the property to my name to prevent my dad from acquiring it. Despite this, financially, I now have a larger stake, given that the house's value surpasses that of my brother's trusts combined. I am content with this arrangement, even though I'll have to wait until my brothers reach adulthood to take any action. I hope this explanation suffices. I'm simply relaying what Jane conveyed to me. My parents. The significant altercation occurred last Sunday, and since then, I've had no communication with either of my parents. Currently, I believe they are both staying at my mom's residence. Frankly, their absence doesn't bother us, as we are still upset with them. Although it's not technically lawful for them to abandon us, I've been looking after my brothers for over a year now, so I can manage for a few days while they sort out their issues. We're fed up with both of them. Hopefully, this explanation sheds some light on the situation. Additional information from OOP on her parents, stepmom's health, trust funds. Regarding Jane's situation with dialysis, she's not undergoing the procedure due to a genetic condition causing kidney cysts. Despite a previous transplant, recent arterial issues in her legs disqualify her from dialysis. While another transplant is an option, Jane's reluctance stems from traumatic past experiences, including rejections. Instead, she's opted for maintenance medications to extend her life while organizing her affairs. Additionally, other health concerns make conventional treatments risky, and she prefers a natural end surrounded by loved ones. As for the trust fund dissolution, Jane, foreseeing potential interference from your biological parents, dissolved it to safeguard your inheritance until you reach 18. Even with your aunt overseeing the fund, your father could access it in Jane's absence. Heeding legal advice, this precautionary measure was deemed necessary. Regarding how your mother learned of these matters, it's likely Jane informed your father, who subsequently shared the information with her, sparking the ensuing argument. Jane was unaware of your mother's involvement, as she typically only visited during Jane's hospital stays. Your father may have misrepresented these visits as time spent with you. Although Jane never explicitly prohibited your mother's visits, her recent prolonged stay coincided with the unfolding plan, leaving Jane with limited recourse. Hope this clarifies things for you. Regarding the allocation of remaining estate funds not earmarked for my brother's trusts, they will be utilized for the upkeep of the household, covering expenses such as utilities and taxes until my brothers reach the age of 18. At that juncture, I will have the option to either retain ownership of the house and assume its maintenance responsibilities, contingent upon my financial capacity, or opt to sell it. My intention is to pursue further education during this period, aiming to secure a better job with the objective of retaining the property. However, if circumstances dictate otherwise, selling the house remains a viable alternative, although it's not my preferred course of action. Reflecting on my relationship with my stepmother, Jane, she has played a pivotal role in my life, assuming a maternal role that surpasses that of my biological mother. While my biological mother's involvement has been somewhat ambiguous, Jane has consistently demonstrated unwavering support and interest in my upbringing. From enrolling me in sports teams to funding dance classes and nurturing my hobbies, Jane has always made me feel valued and equal to my brothers. Our bond, particularly as the only girl, has been strengthened through one-on-one activities, such as watching movies and spending quality time together, which constitute some of my fondest memories. Furthermore, Jane's maturity and selflessness serve as an inspiration to me, contrasting with the immaturity exhibited by my biological mother. Despite enduring challenges stemming from my mother's behavior, Jane has never voiced grievances or negativity towards her, always prioritizing my well-being above her own feelings. As I've grown older, I've found solace and contentment in Jane's presence, recognizing her as a source of stability and guidance. In retrospect, Jane's approach underscores the essence of fostering love and acceptance in blended families. Her unconditional love and support, coupled with her ability to transcend any conflicts with my father's ex-partner, epitomize the essence of maternal love. Through her example, I've learned that genuine care and attentiveness towards stepchildren can foster deep bonds, transcending any familial complexities. Relevant comments. Commenter: I highly recommend seeking legal counsel upon her demise to secure your rightful inheritance, preempting any potential interference from your parents. Additionally, it's imperative to honor your commitment by utilizing the funds for the welfare of both yourself and your siblings. UP. Without a doubt, Jane has already provided me with the contact information for the lawyer, and with the support of both the lawyer and my step-aunt, I am confident I can fulfill the necessary tasks on their behalf. Financial considerations are secondary for me. I believe most individuals thrive without trust funds. What truly matters to me is the gift of the house from Jane. It represents not just a monetary asset, but a haven for my brothers. Whether or not I obtain custody of them, I am determined to ensure the house remains a sanctuary for them. My brothers are, in essence, the embodiment of Jane's legacy. It is my primary objective to impart upon them the same level of care and guidance that Jane provided me, particularly in light of her imminent absence. OOP on the relationship between her father and her stepmom before they got exposed. OOP. It's incredibly painful because prior to Jane falling ill, their relationship appeared flawless. However, everything changed when my birth giver, I prefer that term, intervened, disrupting everything with her toxic demeanor. In an ideal scenario, my mother would find herself destitute and isolated in a dismal nursing facility, suffering from bed sores. When she inevitably reaches out to me, craving attention, it would bring immense satisfaction to repeatedly reject her calls, denying her the relationship she seeks. Oop on Jane, stepmom's health. And if Jane is mentally okay on the whole situation, OOP. I believe so. It appears to be a genetic condition, so she has been aware that falling ill was a possibility, although uncertain about the timing. Mentally, she seemed to have braced herself for this outcome. My sincere wish is for her to find solace in understanding the reality and to find reassurance in my commitment to ensure her son's well-being, preventing any adverse effects on their upbringing. OP on her brothers getting therapy to deal with their mom, stepmom's health, and her imminent death. Oop, certainly. I've already had a heartfelt conversation with my brothers, explaining the situation to them as best as I could. They appear to comprehend it, but understandably, they're deeply saddened by everything that's happening. I advised them to seek out a grief counselor at school, and I'm currently in the process of obtaining their health insurance details from Jane, so I can arrange therapy sessions for them with a specialist in child psychology. Despite the immense difficulty of this situation, I feel it's brought the three of us much closer together. I'm incredibly grateful for your support. My love for my brothers runs deep, and I recognize that it's now my responsibility to ensure their well-being in the absence of our mother. Jane played a significant role in raising me, and I'm determined to provide the same level of care for my brothers. Since learning of these circumstances, my plan has been for them to live with me. I'm already taking on the majority of household responsibilities, with my father primarily contributing financially. Regrettably, I'm unable to remove my father from the household as long as he remains their legal guardian. However, I'm actively seeking alternative solutions to this challenge. Once this matter is resolved, I have no qualms about his living arrangements. For now, my focus is on ensuring the best possible future for my brothers and maintaining the stability of our home. Update. Greetings, everyone. It's me again. Many of you have expressed interest in an update regarding my situation with Jane and my family. So I'm here to provide you with the latest developments since my last post. I'll strive to address the key points from before. Firstly, Jane remains alive and surprisingly resilient given the circumstances. Her indomitable spirit persists despite the progression of her illness. She maintains a positive outlook, expressing gratitude for having seen everyone's true colors before her passing. Our bond has strengthened significantly over the past few months. though it grows increasingly challenging to confront the reality of her impending departure. Despite her reluctance to broach the subject, we both understand the gravity of the situation and endeavor to make the most of our time together. As for the recent happenings at home, I haven't divulged all the drama to Jane, believing it unnecessary for her to bear. However, we did host the surprise celebration of life that I arranged. Surprisingly, a larger turnout than expected ensued, with attendees securing accommodations near the hospital where Jane resides. We spent quality time by the lake adjacent to the facility, maintaining a low-key atmosphere per Jane's preference. Through some LinkedIn sleuthing, I even managed to reunite her with an old college friend, much to her delight. The event was filled with food, music, and games, culminating in a touching moment where Jane shed tears of gratitude. Regarding my brothers, they are coping reasonably well. Thanks to my aunt's support, they've begun therapy sessions, fostering greater openness about their emotions. Despite their young age, they exhibit remarkable maturity, becoming increasingly self-reliant. While their academic performance may not be stellar, it's commendable given the circumstances. I remain vigilant for any signs of depression or related concerns. As for my mother, the situation oscillates between comical and embarrassing. After a period of silence, she attempted to reinsert herself into my life, pleading to move in due to her impending lease expiration and lack of housing. Predictably, our conversation didn't end well, with her resorting to insults and emotional manipulation. I firmly insisted she leave, threatening to involve the authorities if necessary, while my father's sporadic visits serve as a reminder of the fractured family dynamic. Overall, navigating these complexities requires a delicate balance of resilience, empathy, and assertiveness. Following her repeated attempts to visit, often resulting in loud confrontations outside, I eventually had to involve the authorities. Despite my age, the police warned me that as a minor I might be legally obliged to return home with her. Refusing, citing my responsibility for my younger siblings at the time, I stood my ground. After hours of discussion, my father intervened, allowing me to remain with him, as he was now present. This decision was bolstered by my prolonged stay under his roof for over a year. The police firmly warned my mother against further disturbances, threatening trespassing charges due to the property being under Jane's name. Although she ceased her visits, my mother resorted to incessant phone calls, demanding things I allegedly owed her. Fed up, I blocked her on all platforms, leaving my father as the mediator for any necessary communication. Our relationship has become distant, with him obligated to stay until my 18th birthday. However, we've mostly avoided each other, relying on manipulation tactics to get our way. For instance, I coerced him into agreeing to a swift divorce by threatening to evict him upon reaching adulthood. Now, he complies with Jane's wishes without resistance. While I maintain respect for him as my father, I've made it clear that I won't heed his advice anymore. He retreats to his room, occasionally returning to my mother's before another inevitable dispute arises. Whether I'll ask him to leave remains undecided, and we've yet to broach the topic. Meanwhile, I'm coping as best as I can, juggling a new job for additional income, schooling, and supporting my siblings. Busy with these responsibilities and visits to Jane, I've barely had time to process everything. Thankfully, a supportive friend has stepped up to assist us, for which I'm immensely grateful. Okay, next story. Am I the jerk for starting divorce proceedings while my wife is hospitalized following a car accident? My spouse had 2 children before our marriage, and they have an actively involved father. We've had 2 children together. Unfortunately, my wife struggles with driving, a fact she refuses to acknowledge. She's been in multiple accidents, leading to her license suspension, not due to a DUI, but solely because of her poor driving skills. She often gets distracted, like reaching into the back seat to attend to a child instead of pulling over or letting me or one of the older kids handle it. One particularly scary incident occurred last August when she was rear-ended because she took her foot off the brake at a red light to retrieve our son's pacifier without putting the car in park. Thankfully, only she was injured, but all 4 kids were in the car. I've reached my breaking point. I made it clear to her that while she's free to endanger herself and her kids, if I or our children are in the car, she must keep her focus on the road and her hands on the wheel. Now that she's nearing the end of her rehabilitation and can drive again, I reminded her of my stance. I reassured her of my love and expressed my affection for her older kids as well. However, I emphasized that if she ever engages in reckless behavior while driving, it could irreparably damage our relationship. I even stated that in the event of a divorce, I would insist on her being barred from driving with my kids in the car for their safety. Understandably, she became emotional and denied any intentional wrongdoing. However, I challenged her on how she could accidentally take her hands off the wheel, remove her seatbelt, release the brake, and turn around to grab the pacifier. I don't believe I'm treating her like an idiot. Rather, I'm prioritizing the safety of our children. To mitigate the situation, I've taken on most of the driving responsibilities, stopped drinking when we go out, and traded my beloved car for an SUV to accommodate our family. I've even offered to cover Uber expenses so she doesn't have to drive if I'm unavailable. Despite her appreciation for driving, her ex-partner and parents support my stance. Her ex has warned her that he'd pursue full custody or demand she not drive with their kids if she endangers them. Additionally, her parents have threatened to withdraw financial support for her high insurance premiums. Although she feels we're being unfair, citing her love for her kids and lack of intention to harm them, it's crucial for me to ensure our children's safety comes first. Comments. Commenter. She began to cry, insisting that she hadn't intended to do it. I questioned her on the sequence of events. How she managed to release her grip on the wheel, unfasten her seatbelt, lift her foot off the brake, and turn around to retrieve the pacifier, all by mistake. Frustrated, she accused me of treating her like a fool. However, I countered that my priority is the safety of our children. Her reaction suggests a lack of responsibility. Regardless of her intentions, her actions endangered lives. It's not about labeling her as careless. It's about ensuring the safety of everyone on the road. Perhaps she shouldn't drive at all, but at the very least, she must refrain from driving with the children in the car. That's the bare minimum we can expect. Commenter. At a certain juncture, the concept of intentionality begins to unravel. It's possible she perceives her actions as unintentional, but considering the abundance of evidence and testimony from her own family pointing to the danger she poses to herself and her children, any rational person, and even some irrational ones, would grasp the message. If she refuses to acknowledge it, the responsibility lies with her. What's even more troubling is that if a person remains so profoundly deluded despite overwhelming evidence, they pose a significant danger not only in this situation, but likely in various other scenarios as well. How disconnected from reality must one be to overlook the consequences of their actions? What other aspects of her life is she similarly delusional about? Commenter. You're demonstrating a lack of respect towards her, but let's face the reality. She's making foolish decisions. What responsible adult engages in such reckless behavior while driving? Despite the repercussions of losing her license and being involved in multiple accidents, it seems she hasn't grasped the severity of her actions. Even your ultimatum may not be enough to prompt a change. Each time she engages in such risky behavior, she is knowingly putting her children in harm's way. This issue could have been addressed long ago, but she appears unwilling to confront it due to laziness or denial. Both you and her ex-partner need to take a firm stance. She shouldn't drive unless she's alone in the car. No compromises. Any violation of this agreement should be met with serious consequences, including the possibility of separation. Continuing to give her chances only prolongs the endangerment of your children. 7 weeks later, my wife was involved in a single vehicle accident. She was seriously injured, but thank goodness no one else was in the car with her. I have spoke to her about her driving habits and I warned her. I went to see her in the hospital and then I went to a lawyer. I am also going for full custody with only supervised visitation for her. I am sick to death of her driving habits and I will not wait for her to injure or kill one of our kids with her bullshit. I feel bad for doing this while she is in the hospital and facing charges, but I can't take any more chances on her. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.